Hello, my name is Seth Jacobsen, and I'm going to be singing Try to Remember. Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember the kind of September when no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. 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 Deep in December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember without a hurt. The heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fires of September that made us yellow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember and follow. Follow.
I love that choice. So nice to hear you do it.
Thank you. Thank you.
What,
Me too.
What made you connect with that song?
So I actually never heard that song until like a few months ago when my show choir director decided to make that our ballad, like a last minute choice.
And you decided to steal it.
I just fell in love with it, pretty much. I just stole it, yeah. And I don't know, it really meant a lot to me, like the meaning and everything. And then like a month later, I saw the show at a local theater, the Fantastics.
Oh.
And I just love the show so much and the way it just wraps around the entire show. And yeah, it's really special to me, yeah.
Oh, well, you sing it with great feeling and connection, and
Thank you.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's interesting, when you picked up the microphone, I felt that you were physically much more at ease. Mm-hmm. That when the mic was on the stand, there were some movements that felt slightly artificial.
Yeah, me too.
But when you had the mic, you were I felt nothing artificial in your physicality.
Nice.
And so that's interesting. I'm actually more at ease holding a microphone than having it on a stand, and then thinking of my hands as having pineapples on, like they suddenly like, what do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
There's things that you can do vocally. Your voice is very pretty, very compelling. There's things you can do with intensity.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might sing a phrase, try to remember the kind of September. You can sing quieter and a little more breathy at times, and you can vary the vocal sound, which gives more depth to the lyric in the spots that you select as such. And there's a couple of spots that I'd love to hear you do things more legato, if you can, and not take a breath if it's comfortable, physically possible. Look that up. And for example, try to remember the kind of September when life was young and just. To vary it.
Right, yeah.
Because those are all things that you can do that will give more variety to what you're doing, and it's beautiful the way it is. So these are just extra things, because what happens when we sing a song is that we sing it and it feels great, and then the more that we do it, we find other little things we can do with it that just sort of evolve. So I'm giving you shortcuts, so this is like Cliff's notes to that.
Right, yeah.
The other thing that we had mentioned previously is how you can sometimes put slight emphasis on a word that makes it more powerful. Mm-hmm. And you're doing a lot of that naturally, so I don't want to call attention to something that you're already doing well. It's just that to make you aware of it, you might choose to use it in a few other places.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Like, deep in December, it's nice to remember. Deep in December, it's nice to remember. When you do that, it's like it puts a little more gravitas on the words.
Yeah.
So does that all make sense, or am I just?
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. Yes. So, hello.
Go ahead.
No, I'm tired of my voice.
No. And I'm never tired of your voice, Michael. Just two things. And love your voice. Love the song choice. Actually, a question. What do you think you want that person to remember, or in the show? What is it about that September? What is it that you want them to remember?
It's, I see it like, almost like your childhood almost, because it's September, it's before December, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like your favorite time, or like a favorite day or something when you were a child. Mm-hmm. That just like really like warms you up no matter what.
Yeah, that autumn, that sense of like the renewal.
Yeah.
September's like beginning of harvest or whatever. There's something not springy. That would be spring.
Autumnal.
Yeah, autumnal about it. Yes. And and then just the word remember. I was wondering. I was waiting for you to talk because I wanted to see if you had an accent. I personally would like to hear you say remember a little bit more than remember. You're saying time or remember, and I kind of want to hear remember.
Okay, yeah.
You mean more
A little bit more.
Remember.
Let me hear you say the word.
Remember.
Oh, how do you say it? Like say if you say right now, if you were gonna say, oh, I wish I could remember what her name. Let me hear you say it.
Remember.
I kind of want to hear you sing it a little more like that.
Try to remember instead of try to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to remember.
Remember. Yeah, I know.
Try to remember. Just slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sing but try to remember the kind. Try to remember the. It's kind of the way the mouth is positioned, and we're taught to sing remember, so it sounds like remember. Mm-hmm. So you can go a slight more towards remember, and I don't think there's any foul. So would you avail us?
I would love to, yeah.
And sing it again too.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay.
And remember everything we said. And then, I guess I lied. There's two things. And then that word, you go through the whole song and tell them, try to remember. And right before the bridge, you say, and if you remember. Because you're assuming every time you remember. And if you remember, there's something about that if.
So that's an important word, because it's different. So try to remember, and if you remember.
Mm-hmm. Or try to remember, and if you remember. You know, something, there's that one. Depending
on which version you choose, we'll know who you like more.
No pressure. No pressure, yeah.
Awesome.
So please.
Yeah. Try to remember the kind of September when life was snow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now, if you don't mind doing it again, try to remember what is the lyric there? When you were
Kind of September when you were tender in Calafella.
Now, I'd like to ask you to do that phrase again. Try to remember youth and callow fellow, and show a little variance on your face.
Yeah.
Because again, those are the kinds of lines you can get a little more out of. And I think I may have led you astray a little bit, that you don't have to connect every single line.
Okay.
So just do it as you feel it here and there. There's no hard and fast rule. But maybe getting into that bridge again.
Grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow.
Yeah.
Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender.
Okay, so that was good. Now, I'd like to hear you, when you do that try to remember, where you're suddenly breaking out at one point when you do try to remember, when it goes up like that.
Yeah.
Try to remember. And I'd like to see you open up in your body.
Okay, yeah.
And just sort of let go a little bit more, because you're kind of controlled in it. And so when you open up, when you open up like that, it'll be like, wow, the sun's coming out.
Yeah.
So give it a try. See how it feels. So going before the bridge, maybe the 8 bars before, wherever you can join forces.
Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow.
That was great. How did that feel?
It felt good, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more free,
Yeah, so there's a lot of places in that song you can open up like that.
Yeah.
So this is your invitation to do that.
Great, yeah. Awesome.
Well, that was absolutely beautiful. And
Thank you.
Keep going. You're doing great.
Thank you so much,
Great.
yeah.